start off with first off, Coach, welcome to the Meet the Falcons show. How are you doing?
Doing as well as I can. It's actually pretty nice out today, so I'm enjoying some fresh air from the windows.
So, have you been able to get out at all to get some walks around the neighborhood at all during this, Coach?
A little bit, unfortunately, where I live, there isn't really a lot of sidewalks. So luckily, I have a pretty large yard, and so yesterday, I swear my back is killing me because I was doing so much yard work. It's getting enough fresh air doing that.
Yeah, we tried out a new electronic mower to see how far it would go, and it did the entire yard, including the hill. So,
Nice.
hill is now freshly mowed. But how is it like, Coach, coaching through this whole situation?
Uh, there's not much coaching, to be honest. I mean, through this whole situation at the beginning, it was, oh, we're going on spring break. We think we're going. We're pretty sure we're going. We don't know if we're going to go. We're not going. And so that was kind of the biggest coaching moment, was helping lead the people through that and that whole process. But since then, we've had a challenge, and that challenge is, what do you do during this time that you're supposed to be in season, supposed to be competing? And so for us, what we did is we continued to compete online through social media. So we came up with a 30-day month challenge this month of April, where we're doing challenges of fitness, challenges of grace, challenges with like making a healthy breakfast, just little fun games, things like that. And it's really been going well, especially from the fitness aspect. People have really been pushed, and I've been getting comments, Coach, these workouts, they're so tough. So I like that. That's good.
Why do you think you've had so much success with it? Looking across the board, always see the CUW tennis social media accounts, and you don't only have just like one student athlete on it. You have multiple student athletes really participating and really going at it hard.
Well, one, I think we're competitive. So when you have a challenge, it doesn't matter if it's a challenge on the tennis court, in the classroom, or on social media. People want to jump in, and they want to get challenged, and they want to fight, and they want to compete. It was really cool to see actually the other day. Um, what was it? Esports had a competition
They
for
did.
all Concordia student athletes, and actually two of my guys, Logan Schneider and Gabe Benversi, they placed. I can't remember what they took. They may have taken like fourth or fifth, but they placed, and I thought that was really cool that they're still competing and trying to get out there. And I think that just speaks to the competitive nature of the guys and the gals that we recruit here to compete.
So, what has been your favorite challenge so far? I know there's been, like you said, there's been a lot of different challenges across the board. Some physical, some faith based. And what has been your favorite challenge so far?
Of the ones on social media, you mean?
Yep.
Ooh, that's a good one. To be honest, I think my favorite ones are, we've been putting up like tennis challenges, and they're not like you would expect, like hit a tennis ball against a wall or anything like that. Ours have been like more memory based. So, for instance, we had it, post your favorite team picture and say a prayer for the team, or post your favorite picture of yourself playing, and a tip you could give someone. So they've been like kind of tennis challenges like that. And my favorite one probably so far was on spring break. They had to post their favorite spring break picture and then share their favorite memory. And we had amazing postings. We had postings from alumni, postings from current players, and that was super exciting. It was really cool for me because it brought back memories. I mean, I've been doing this for now with the ladies 8 years. That's 8 years of spring break memories. And so you kind of forget things. And so it was really cool to see some of the alumni postings. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was so much fun. How did I forget that? So I really enjoyed that challenge.
So, you talked spring break and you talked a little bit earlier on just the mass chaos of that week, the break, where we were like, well, it's on your discretion. You might be going. We're not going. Then the year's over. So,
Yeah.
talking spring break, what are some of your favorite CUW spring break moments?
Oh, wow. We've had some major wins on spring break. I mean, we've beat Division 2 teams, NAIA teams, and those are always fun. They really are, because you always want to compete and you always want to do well. So those have been cool, especially when you're playing against scholarship players. and they think they're pretty good. And then all of us who aren't, non-scholarship players, or at least not athletic scholarship players, we get out there and then we beat them. So that's really fun. But for me, I think the best memories we have, and even from the players, are there's two things that come to my mind in particular. One, it's their days off. We do give them recovery days when we're on spring break, and a lot of them, they go out for bike rides, they go to the beach, and so you make some really cool memories that way. And then the other one that really sticks out in my mind is every night we make a big emphasis on team dinners. And I mean, it's a big emphasis. Like, it's a big thing. I make it into a big deal. I tell the players that they have to get like the secret recipe from grandma or from mom, and they have to make the best meal they ever had growing up. That one meal that mom made that you just love, that's the one they have to make. So they can't just make tacos or just make spaghetti. They have to make that really special meal. And so there's just been some amazing meals made by players. And it's cool because lots of times family members come down too to come watch, and so the parents will bring appetizers or they might bring dessert. And the next thing you know, here we are in a house down in Hilton Head, and we have 20 players, a few coaches, but there's over 30 people there because parents come, the siblings come, and it's just every night. It's so cool. It's almost kind of like its own little get-together party, and that has really been memorable. And then I guess lastly, last year we made a whole new transition. Last year we went to Florida, and a lot of my players, they put all this time on the tennis court. They love tennis, but where we are in the Midwest, you never get to really see professional tennis. Maybe you get to catch Wimbledon a little bit on TV or things like that. But I would say of all my players, probably 90 to 95% of them have never seen professional tennis in real life. And that's a learning moment. You have to see professional tennis. It changes how you think about tennis. It changes how you work out on tennis because you see them in real life and it's like, whoa, so that's what it's really like. You kind of have something to compare to finally. And so last year was the first time we were able to get the funds together. The players fundraised some more money. And last year when we were down in Orlando, we took a road trip to the Miami Open, and we got to see Federer, Nadal, Serena. We got to see all the big players. And my players were just, they were in heaven. I mean, it was something they never thought they would ever be able to do, or maybe not do until way after college when they have more money. But that was a really, really cool memory.
Talking all the cooks, you said you've had 8 spring breaks now. Are there any student athletes who stand out or who are like, wow, these are amazing cooks? Or are there some that really stand out that say you probably should not even be close to a microwave?
There are definitely. I don't know if I want to label names right here. I might get in trouble. I will say, though, and I don't know why this is, but some of the guys have really stepped up in the years. And I think that's just because I make it really competitive. Like, I kind of get on the players. I'm like, hey, you got to make an amazing meal. Like, this has to be the best meal. You're competing against the other. So the guys get really competitive into it, and they can make some really good meals. Where the ladies, I think they're a little bit more laid back about it. They're like, I got to make a meal. Okay, how many people am I feeding? 20 to 25. Wow, that's a lot. So I feel like if I had to label it, I feel like the ladies are better at like breakfast. They're really, really good at making breakfast food, and the guys really step up for dinner. So I think it depends on what meal you're talking about.
All right. So you talked a little bit about going down to Miami. You have had tennis in your life for a while. Who are some of your favorite professionals to watch?
Well, I mean, I got to go to cliche. I love Roger Federer. I mean, it's weird to think about, but when he was a pro, I was probably in middle school or high school, and so I grew up just watching Roger. And I always liked him because he was always aggressive, very smooth player out on the court, and he came in a lot when he was younger. He was actually labeled a servant volleyer for a while when he first came out. The game has changed, and he's adapted with it, so he doesn't do it as much, but he still does it quite a bit. So I've always loved Roger Federer. I do also really like Juan Del Potro. He's from Argentina, really good guy. I really like him because he's that genuine teddy bear kind of character, just really lovable, really nice, does a lot in his country for the country. I like him a lot. And then I've always kind of been, I'll be honest, a little bit against Nadal because he's always like Federer's nemesis, if you want to say.
He
But I
is,
think
yeah.
recently I've kind of grown into liking him just because when I watch him play, I just see no one else like him on the court. I mean, he's got a game that is so tough. He's so determined. He's got a lot of qualities that I think I can translate into at the Division III level with my players. So I've really grown to like him from a coaching perspective. Where I would have to say, from a personal perspective, I'm always going to love Federer, but it's just different dynamics.
Can you talk a little bit about this year? I know the men's and women's side, the women were able to get through their fall schedule and had a few left in the spring. Can you talk a little bit about these two teams this year that CUW put out on the courts?
Yeah, the ladies were young. I mean, we had one senior, and everyone else on the team was either a freshman or a sophomore. So a super young team, a really determined team. Uh, they went out there, they worked hard every single practice, they put in the time, they went in the weight room, they did everything they had to. And so I was really excited for this year because I knew this was going to be the growth year. This was the year that we had to grow, get much better, get the tennis experience, get the losing experience, get the winning experience, just get all that experience that comes with a whole season. And then we were going to just use that almost like a train and just take that right into the next season. So this coming year. So I would say this COVID-19 situation is a little bit of a setback because we needed that match experience for these young players. So I'm really interested to see if summer things start going back to normal and players can get back out there. And I think they're all itching to play. So I'm really excited to see how much they bring in the fall season. In terms of the men, oh man, the men, to be honest, it just feels like things were just swept from under our feet. It really does. We put in I mean, what was it, 7 or 8 weeks of indoor court time. Every practice, I felt like the guys were getting better. Every week, I felt like the intensity was improving, the focus was there. And I really thought this was our year. Our team was looking stronger. Like I said, each day, every week. I was analyzing our results against our competition, Illinois Tech, MSOE, and it looked like we were inching on them or inching past them even. And so we were just getting really excited. We were really ready for spring break because that's kind of where we really hone in as a team. We really get focused, and then we take that into conference. And then, boom, it's all gone. And so that was not a shock, but at the same time, it just, it's almost like when you go in and you get hit by, I don't know, you get hit in the chest or you get hit in the stomach and all the air gets knocked out of you. That's what it kind of felt like. You saw it coming for a split second, but it still just knocked the wind out of you, and you still had to catch your breath. So I think we've caught our breath now. Now we're trying to figure out how many players are coming back because we had a lot of seniors, and can we go for another fight for next year? It's all we can do is focus on next year already.
We talked some of the meat of the topics, so now it's time to meet you, Coach.
Yeah.
You travel a lot. Where has been your favorite place to travel to?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if I can answer that. I have traveled a lot and to a lot of amazing places. I think for me, I like to change it up. I like to go to a bunch of different places because I can get sick of a place. So for instance, I've been to Europe a lot of times. I love Europe, but you can only go to Europe so many times and see old churches and old architecture until it all starts blending together. And so what I like to do is I like to mix that up. So what my wife and I have done is we've mixed in to go to South America in between Europe trips. And then this past year, we mixed in going to Asia between our European trips. And so that has been amazing. For me, I don't know if I would say I would have a favorite place, but I would say there's a couple things that stick out to me. For one, the most beautiful place I've ever been to, in my mind, hands down, is New Zealand. It's just the beauty, the green, the mountains, the lakes, everything together. the country is just so beautiful, very natural, very environmental friendly. Things are just pristine there. You go there and it's just, they even say you can go up to any stream and drink out of the water. I mean, it's that clean, it's that beautiful. I would also say in terms of food, if you want to throw that in there, I would have a fight. It would be actually between Greece and Italy. Uh,
Okay.
Italy is where I had what I would call like the freshest food. It just tastes, every little bit of food just had so much flavor. I've never experienced anything like that. And then when we were in Greece, Greece had the most unique plates we had. Everything we had from street food to fine dining was just amazing. It had really unique stuff. They're in this phase right now where they're taking old Greek recipes and mixing it with Italian, mixing it with French, mixing it with American recipes. And it's just some really unique plates. And that was really awesome. So I think that's probably the best way I could break it down, is maybe more or less by those qualities. I don't know if there's another one that I could say. I would say the most interesting culture for me was either China or Peru. Very, very different cultures. Peru, they have this one lake called Lake Titicaca, and these people actually live on man-made islands in the lake. And these islands actually move. They're almost like a boat that they can move from parts of the lake to other parts of the lake. So that was amazing to see a whole culture, a whole community living on these islands that move. So that was really fascinating. And then China was also fascinating, just because, you have a communist country. It's a very different, beautiful architecture. It was very cool to kind of see how those people look at life, how they interpret things, and just getting their perspective. So there's so many things that I could talk about. But I mean, I think I need to digress. Getting me too excited, Jeremy.
I know. So you talked a little bit about the food. What is your go-to staple in the kitchen where you can just make it anytime?
Ooh, wow. I'm a big breakfast guy. I do love breakfast. So I like to do a lot with eggs, obviously scrambled over easy, frittatas, omelets. I'm really into my eggs. I actually just the other week I moved my eggs to the higher level, and now I get pasteurized hen eggs. So
Cool.
that's top of the line. It's a little bit more pretty of a penny, but it's supposed to be a lot healthier for you. They have a lot more flavor, things like that. So I'm going that route right now. Otherwise, outside of that, my wife from Brazil, so my wife and I actually, we cook a lot of Brazilian food. I won't say that I make it a whole lot. She makes it more or less, but I would say that's kind of our go-to staples, a lot of Brazilian food. There's amazing stuff, rice and beans. Actually, probably my favorite plate, which if there's any Brazilian people, they're going to laugh at me, but it's called feijoada. And it's just this rice and bean plate. And to me, it's just got the most amazing flavor, and you can change it up. It's always unique. I love it. But I would say those are those two things. I'm really into my breakfast food and eggs, and then we eat a lot of Brazilian food.
Well, talking your new eggs, have you picked up any hobbies or are you starting any shows on quarantine? I know you're working hard still trying to recruit people to CUW, but picked up on anything these last few weeks?
Yeah. Well, I'm still doing my homework. I mean, I'm going for my doctorate, so that's taken up a lot of my time outside of work at night and things like that. But then actually, my wife and I were just talking about this. My wife works from home, so we actually have been making her an office downstairs in our basement. So that's been really nice. We transitioned one room. And so I laid down all the flooring this weekend. Now that's done. And the walls have been texturized and painted. We did all of that. So that's cool. And so my project this week is I'm actually making her whole, her own desk, all from scrap. So I got some nice big pieces of red oak that I need to stain this week and take care of. And then actually the legs are going to be copper, and I'm gonna shine them, polish them, and then I'm putting a clear coat on them so they actually don't rust or anything like that, or corrode, I should say, being copper. So that's been kind of my pet project as of recently. And then with the nicer weather, I'll eventually be getting outside. I mean, yesterday was pretty nice, and my wife and I did probably 4 or 5 hours of yard work, and that's why my back is hurting so bad, because I don't have any chainsaws, so I just had this Sawzall. I'm just going at it, and so I would say those are the big things we've been doing. And I don't know if I want to call them a hobby, because then that means I got a lot more work ahead of me. But pet projects, we'll call them that.
Well, thank you for joining us, Coach. Can't wait to get back out on the tennis courts with you here once the sun warms up.
Thanks, Jeremy. Take care.
Thanks.